Edgemont League. This is the post-draft analysis of our league. Just want to start off the smack talk in a organized, thought-out way. So I'm going to be winging this. This is completely freeballing it. So I think the best way to start an analysis of our league would be to simply look at each team and then let me see where you stand in the league. So, actually, no. We're going to start out by what I think was the current standings of each team in the league following the draft, and then the standings of each team in the league following Joel and Omar's trade. Okay. So, tied for first following the draft was me and Omar. I think we stood at a tier where no one else quite was. I don't think there was anyone on that same tier as us. The next tier would be I think Keegan is probably in tier 2. I think Matt is on tier 2, and I think Rob is on tier 2. And then there's a third tier, and I think Nick Fuller resides in this third tier by himself, all alone. And then the last two, yeah, you know who you are. You're booty. You're booty. Okay, so now let's do an analysis of each team. We'll do that analysis actually right after I make the updated standings. In first place by himself is Joel. Following the trade with Omar, Joel possesses 3 players who are in the top 2 or arguably top 3 in 3 different positions. Aaron Rodgers is undisputedly a top 2 quarterback. Adrian Peterson is unquestionably the best running back in the league. And now he has Des Bryant. I mean, I don't know. Mar, you got trade rape, bro. What'd you get? Steven Jackson and Antonio Brown? Nice. At the expense of David Wilson, who's just named the starter in New York, plus Des Bryant? Why do you hate Des so much? You're a bum, Omar. And you know what? You're not even in that tier with me anymore, because I'm in the second tier by myself now. It's just the House Street Hoosiers in tier 2. We are the second best team in the league because we can't mess with Joel right now. He's too good. Following me is probably Omar, and I'd say Matt. I think Matt's team is pretty good. Top heavy, but good. Then after that, I'd say Keegan and Nick are kind of hustling, jostling. And then in the last tier, we got Rob and Josh. And personally, I'll take Rob over Josh. I think Josh is here because his draft was poop. And that's not his fault. It's okay. No hate, Josh. Joel's a bad bro. The first team I'll do a review on will be Joel's, the Anal Avengers. Horrible name choice, by the way. I hate that name. Secondly, I hate your picture with the sumo wrestlers. They're awful. But now for the actual team review. The truth is, following your trade with Omar, you are probably the best team in the league. Aaron Rodgers, AP, and Dez dominate. The 3 of them alone should probably give you about 55 to 60 points on a weekly basis, which is crazy. But the one notable hole here is depth. You got the 49ers D, which is solid. Stephen Gostkowski, solid. But following your top players, Wes Welker isn't going to be a huge stud this year. Tony Gonzalez will not be a great player this year. Darren Sproles will be solid. He's a good flex. But then your bench is poop. Outside of Reggie Wayne, you don't have a serviceable backup, really. I mean, James Jones isn't going to be as good next year. Vic Ballard will not even start for his team. Shane Vereen, yeah, Stephen Ridley's the man. Greg Jennings isn't going to do anything for you. And Tim Tebow, you have 3 quarterbacks on your team. You have Andy Dalton, too. So, yeah, depth is your downfall. Could be your downfall. You're one injury away to one of your key players, and you're bumping down a few tiers. The next team I'll review is my own team, the House Street Hoosiers. You know, I thought it was a kind of a clever name because I live on House Street, technically. But I'll be honest, my emblem, my picture kind of sucks. I don't even know what it is. It's like an S because my last name's Sheldrup. Alright, so strengths, definitely my depth and pretty much every position except for defense and quarterback. I think my running backs, although I lack a true bona fide stud, I am more than happy with Alfred Morris and Stephen Ridley being my starting running backs. Morris probably won't be a top 5 back again, and Ridley might not be a top 10 running back. I think he will. I'm pretty sure he will. But yeah, I got 2 top 10 guys there, pretty solid. And I got AJ Green and Larry Fitzgerald, and I can see them both being top 10, with AJ Green being top 2. And Fitzgerald hopefully might be top 5 if I'm lucky. Dwayne Bowe, solid flex player for me. Pretty excited about that. DeMarco Murray, Monty Ball, Ryan Matthews round out my running back core. Excellent group of backups. I'm really amped to have them on my bench because if someone goes down, I can just plug them in and I know I'm going to get puntos. And then we got Vincent Brown, Lance Moore, and Anquan Bolden, and Mike Williams as backup receivers. Man, I got depth. Every single one of them's got sleeper potential. Next team to be reviewed, the Village Schmucks, Omar Musal's team. I'm fond of that name. I like that name, and I like your picture. You know, you'll get me with Steve Carell every time. Every time. That picture's awesome. But let's get down to the team. I really liked your team about a week ago. Not so much now. In terms of strengths, I think it's pretty obvious that your strength is at wide receiver. Calvin Johnson and Randall Cobb are going to be dominant. That's a really, really good wide receiver duo. I think my wide receiver duo can match it, but it's going to be pretty even. Toss up there. Beyond that, your next high point is the tight end, Jimmy Graham, and probably, maybe the defense. He's pretty solid there. I think your weakness, though, is going to be at running back, quarterback. Not so much quarterback because he's above average, so he's not going to lose you any games for sure, especially since he's consistent. Matt Ryan's a pretty solid guy. But Trent Richardson, I promise you, is going to get hurt this year. Chris Johnson will not have any touchdowns this year because all he scores, whenever he scores, it's because he breaks off a 50-yard run. They have Shane Vereen now to do the heavy lifting down low and the 1 and 2 yard kind of situations. And then Steven Jackson, maybe he'll have a really big year. Maybe he'll be top 15. But I do see him potentially getting injured. I see it. I can see it happening. And then beyond that depth, I think your depth is horrible. You got guys like Andre Brown, Mark Ingram, and Eddie Lacy backing up people. Also, I don't think you should be so excited about Pierre Garçon. I really don't think he's going to be that great. ESPN doesn't think he's going to be that great. Most people don't think he's going to be that great. You need to win another trade. You need to win a trade soon if you want to be a top dog here. Alright, next team on the list, Team Rusk. Really uncreative name, really horrible picture. Why, you might ask? Because Matt is never online. Let's look at strengths. Strength number 1, Quarterback. Cam Newton is going to be a top 5 quarterback, and he's going to always put up points, whether it be through the air or on the ground. He's going to find a way to give you points. So he's really good. The next strength is probably going to be running back. I am pretty big on Matt Forte this year. I realistically see him getting top 10 fantasy numbers. I think he's going to be really good. Arian Foster, I'm not super huge on him. I don't think he's first round talent this year. I don't know. He'll probably prove me wrong. Then you also got Lamar Miller, and that should be a huge, huge pickup. Also, Rob Gronkowski is going to be really solid this year. He's like one of the best red zone threats in the history of the NFL. So, yeah. The weakness on this team is wide receiver, definitely. Vincent Jackson's really good, but Torrey Smith is unproven. And then also, this team has no depth, and that's just going to happen. When you're not really a fan of the NFL and you don't watch it that much, then you're not going to have a lot of knowledge of sleepers, so you're going to have a really bad bench. Outside of Giovanni Bernard and Daryl Richardson, might as well throw everyone else off the team. Moving on to Keegan's team, Adrian Peterson, carry me. Horrible name. That was Hartman's team last year. Fix it. Alright, strengths. Pretty much every position except for tight end, defense, and kicker. Quarterback, Matthew Stafford should have a top 5 kind of season. He's going to be really good this year. Got him late. Nice pick. But the real strength of this team lies in the running backs and the wide receivers. Jamal Charles and C.J. Spiller could very possibly both have top 5 running back seasons, and they're going to be scary week in, week out if they're healthy. Demaryius Thomas and Andre Johnson, again, both top 10 wideouts, and they also could strike fear into everyone's hearts every single week. However, if you look past that and you look at Jared Cook, the Vikings defense, and Caleb Sturgis, as long as those guys don't totally blow it, then this team's going to be set. Especially when you have Reggie Bush and Le'Veon Bell flipping back and forth in the flex spot. This team is dirt nasty and very possibly could leapfrog both Matt and Omar and get into that second tier with me. Next team on the list, Acre Nation, Nick Fuller's team, the Commissioner. I'm not really a fan of the name, especially since you don't have David Akers, but I like the picture. Moving on to strengths, I think it's pretty obvious that your strengths here are Peyton Manning, Doug Martin, Frank Gore, Brandon Marshall, and Marquise Colston, and then of course the Broncos defense. I think literally every other player on this team though is subject to be dropped at some point in the year. Heath Miller is out. I don't know how long he's out, but he's out for a while. T.Y. Hilton, really, I don't think he's going to be as good as everyone in this league thinks he's going to be. He's really reliant on the big play. That's pretty much the only way he gets points. If you look at his scores from last year, it goes 3, 3, 3, 21, 4, 2, 3. Not the way to go. That's that way I hate to play fantasy football. Hauschka, not a bad kicker, not a good kicker either. And then the bench, don't get me started on the bench. The only person you can't drop on that bench pretty much is Chris Ivory. Next team, Corn on the Cob, Joshua's team. I love the commitment to the league already, Josh. Seriously, your picture's a J for Joshua, I assume. Nice, I like it, and I love the puns. I love the puns for the team names, I really do. Now let's get to the team. Your strength is obviously your quarterback and running backs, and then Julio Jones. I see a huge year for both Maurice Jones-Drew and Marshawn Lynch. I think they're both going to be very good. They're both really physical backs, and they don't like to go down. I see big things from both of them. Drew Brees is going to put up huge numbers. Sean Payton's back, good stuff. Julio Jones, rock solid. He's going to be really good. Seahawks defense, nailed the pick there. Good for you. But after that, I see a lot of question marks. David Akers, Danny Amendola, Darren McFadden, Eric Decker. Can any of those improve on the year they had last year? And the only one I think that's really going to be able to do that is Amendola. And you know what? He's only going to be able to do that for about 12 games because he's going to get injured again. McFadden is playing for the worst team in the NFL. And then, yeah, beyond that, your team's pretty bad. Seriously. Antonio Gates is poop. Jordy Nelson is not going to be that good. I'm sorry. Randall Cobb's going to be filthy. Jaquiz Rogers, Kyle Rudolph, Antonio Gates, Steve Johnson. Beyond your top 4 players, this team doesn't really strike a whole lot of fear in a lot of people. The final team, Team Lebowski. Rob Fuller. You know, I love this addition to the league. I think Rob Fuller completes the league. I'm serious. I think he's going to bring the smack talk to another level. I think the competition between him and Nick is going to be unmatched. I think this is going to be the best addition to fantasy football since I was put in the league. Anyway, I love the Team Lebowski, and I love that the acronym is just DUDE. Pretty straightforward, pretty freaking awesome. Now, let's look on to the players. Obviously, the strength of your team lies in your quarterback and your running backs. Tom Brady, I don't care what the haters say. He's a machine. He's going to be the 3rd best quarterback in the NFL, or he's going to be the 4th best. Because he doesn't care. It doesn't matter who is surrounding him. He's going to get points. That's what he does. And then LaCine McCoy and Ray Rice, those guys are both beasts. And I think they're both going to be really good this year. Both probably going to be top 10 running backs. That's the truth. So yeah, he has really good running backs. I have really good running backs. And then I think Keegan has some dirt nasty running backs. Those are 3 guys to watch out for in terms of running back. And then looking at wide receiver, Roddy White is just consistency on consistency. And then he's got the polar opposite in Victor Cruz. Not so big on him. I like consistency more than the big play. The next player, Vernon Davis, not so big on him. That's the truth. I don't think he and Colin Kaepernick are going to be that good. He could be really good, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's going to happen. Then Steve Smith, okay, you should probably make a trade, do a little bit better there. And then defense, this is the only person in the league that has better defense going on than Nick Fuller. Did I just say that? Rob Fuller has better defense than the defensive specialist? It's the truth. I don't know why you have the Texans and the Bengals, but you do. And then you have a good kicker. So yeah, I think for your inaugural season, I think you had a really good draft. I think you're top heavy, and I think you have no depth. If McCoy has injury issues again, if Brady does in fact do badly, then this team is screwed. Alright guys, I think I nailed all the teams tonight. Feel free to let me know how much of a dick I am. Feel free to comment on this video, tell me how wrong I am and everything I said. I don't care. I'd love to hear a little feedback. I want to know what you guys have to say. Give me some projected finishing orders too. I want to see where everyone thinks everyone's going to be at the end of this year.